Have you ever stood on the edge of a diving board, your toes curling over the side, your heart pounding just a little faster? It's that moment of hesitation, isn't it? The water below seems so inviting, yet daunting. That's risk. Not the water itself, but the leap. It's about deciding whether to jump and imagining what might happen when you finally do. Risk is one of those things that's been part of our lives since the dawn of time. Every decision we make, from choosing what to eat for breakfast to deciding on a career path, involves some kind of risk. It's not something we can escape from, even if we try. It's a constant companion, lurking in the background, influencing our choices and outcomes. In the financial world, risk takes on a more structured form, but the essence is the same. It's about the unknown, the unpredictable. When you think about investing, for instance, you're essentially considering how much of that unknown you're willing to face. Let's say you buy a stock. What's the risk there? Well, the company could flourish and your investment could skyrocket, or it could falter and your money could dwindle away. It's the same leap of faith as jumping off that diving board. Now here's a real-life example of financial risk that's straightforward yet profound. Imagine you're saving for a dream trip, a 2-week excursion through the sunlit streets of Italy. You could tuck your money safely in a savings account. It's secure, but it grows ever so slowly. Or you might invest it in the stock market, potentially accelerating your savings. But with that comes the possibility of loss. Your trip to Italy could end up as a weekend in a cozy cabin closer to home if things don't go as planned. Let's delve a bit deeper. I want you to picture risk like water flowing through a river. Sometimes the river is calm, gently winding its way around the bends. This is like a stable investment, where changes are slow and predictable. Other times, the river rushes with rapids, turbulent and unpredictable. This is akin to investing in new volatile markets, where the potential for great rewards is matched by the danger of significant losses. But here's the catch. Just like a seasoned kayaker can learn to navigate even the roughest waters, we can learn to manage risk with the right skills and tools. What are those tools? It's things like diversification, spreading your investments across different areas to cushion potential losses. It's about understanding your risk tolerance, which is essentially how much of that diving board jitter you're willing to handle in pursuit of potential gains. A useful mental model to consider is the concept of risk versus reward. Think of it as a balance scale. On one side, you've got the potential reward, what you hope to gain. On the other, there's the risk, the possibility of loss. The key is to find your equilibrium, that comfortable middle ground where you're aligned with your personal goals and tolerance for uncertainty. Now let's talk about something a bit more emotional. Have you ever felt hesitancy or anxiety when making a big decision? That's your brain's way of signaling risk. Our brains are wired to be cautious, sometimes overly so, because it's a survival mechanism. In personal finance, this often manifests as the fear of making a wrong choice and losing money. It can paralyze you, preventing you from taking any action at all. A classic example of analysis paralysis. But here's where it gets fascinating. Our understanding of risk isn't static. It's something that can evolve as we gain more experience and insight. Just like the first time you drove a car might have been nerve-wracking, over time you got comfortable understanding how to navigate the road with ease. Similarly, you can learn to assess financial risks more accurately and make decisions that align with your goals and comfort level. In the grand scheme of things, accepting risk and learning to manage it is incredibly empowering. It's about embracing the unknown with confidence and making informed decisions rather than being held back by fear. It transforms risk from a barrier into a bridge towards potential opportunities and growth. So at the end of the day, what should you take away from all this? Risk is like that diving board, at times exhilarating, at others terrifying. It's the dance between what could be lost and what might be gained. But it's also a critical part of making progress and achieving our dreams. The key is not to let the fear of the unknown paralyze you, but to equip yourself with knowledge and strategies that help you make informed jumps into the vast pool of opportunities. As you go about your day, think about where in your life you're standing on that diving board. Reflect on your personal balance of risk and reward, and consider how you can take thoughtful, informed leaps. Because every great story, every significant achievement begins with a moment of uncertainty, a moment where you decide to dive in. All right, let's dive right back into our discussion about risk. So far, we've talked about how risk is essentially the uncertainty about how things will turn out, especially when it comes to our money and investments. Now let's explore an analogy that might help paint a clearer picture. Imagine you're at a beach, standing at the edge of the ocean. The waves can be a great metaphor for risk. Some days, the waves are calm and gentle, creating a perfect environment for a relaxing swim. Other days, the waves might be more aggressive, crashing down with a force that could easily knock you off your feet. When you're deciding whether or not to go into the water, you're assessing the risk. You're deciding how much uncertainty you're willing to face. In the world of investing, risks come in different shapes and sizes, just like those waves. There are small, everyday risks that might not make much of a splash. These could be things like slight market fluctuations that could cause minor ups and downs in the value of your investments. Then there are big risks, akin to those large, powerful waves that come with storms. These could be things like economic downturns or unexpected company failures. Now here's where it gets interesting. Just like seasoned surfers learn how to read the ocean and its waves, investors can learn to understand and manage risk. It's not about avoiding the waves, but rather about learning how to navigate them successfully. One important thing to remember is that not all risk is bad. In fact, taking on some level of risk is often necessary to achieve growth. Picture this. If you always stayed safe on the shore, you'd miss out on the exhilaration of riding a wave. Similarly, if you never took on any financial risk, you'd likely miss out on the potential rewards, like growing your wealth over time. But of course, you don't want to dive into the ocean without knowing how to swim. This is where understanding your own comfort level comes into play. Some people are more comfortable with risk, willing to face bigger waves for the chance of a thrilling ride. Others prefer the calm, opting for more stability and less unpredictability. So, how do you figure out where you stand? It starts with knowing your risk tolerance, which is just a fancy way of saying how much risk you're comfortable taking. This can depend on factors like your financial goals, how much time you have to reach them, and how you react to market ups and downs. It's about finding your balance, much like a surfer balancing on their board. In upcoming episodes, we'll explore more about how to measure and manage risk, as well as some strategies to help you feel more confident as you ride those waves. Until then, remember, risk, like the ocean, is something we can learn to live with and even use to our advantage. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you next time. All right, welcome back. We've been chatting about what risk really means, especially when it comes to our finances and investments. Now let's dive into some of the different kinds of risks you might encounter. Imagine you're walking through a forest. Each path you take could have different things waiting for you. Maybe a beautiful clearing on one path or a slippery slope on another. In the world of investing and financial planning, these paths are like the different risks you might face. First up, we have what's called market risk. This is the risk that the entire market could go up or down. Think about the stock market as a big roller coaster. It has its ups and downs, and they can be thrilling or a bit scary, depending on where you are on the ride. Then there's credit risk. This happens when you lend money or invest in someone else's debt, like buying a company's bonds. The risk here is that they might not be able to pay you back. It's like lending a book to a friend and hoping they return it in good shape or at all. Next, let's consider inflation risk. This one is a bit sneaky because it's about losing the power of your money over time. Imagine you bury a treasure chest full of cash in your backyard. When you dig it up years later, that money might not buy you as much as it used to because prices have gone up. That's inflation risk at work. And don't forget liquidity risk. This is about how easily you can turn your investments into cash when you need it. Think of it a bit like selling a rare collectible. You might have something valuable, but finding a buyer at the right price and time can be tricky. Each of these risks can affect your financial journey in different ways. The key is knowing they exist and understanding how they might impact your decisions. By doing so, you're better equipped to choose the path that suits you best. Now, in our next episode, we'll explore how to manage these risks so you can feel more confident about the paths you choose in your financial forest. So stick around, and we'll turn these risks from intimidating shadows into something much more manageable and even a bit exciting. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I'm really looking forward to our next steps together. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.